you don't know it yet, but you are going to be the best friend I ever had,
Hmm.
and you're great, and we're best friends. Hi, Yella.
Hey, Zax.
We are doing something special today.
You mean we're not watching
Um,
a Lifetime movie or talking about a Lifetime movie today?
we are not. A quick disclaimer for this video. We're going to be talking about She-Ra, Princesses of Power, which it explores some very serious and heavy topics, and we're going to discuss them. We're not here to make fun of the show like we do with Lifetime movies. We like it a lot.
Yeah, it's a good show.
It's very good. Also, this is going to serve as your spoiler warning. So if you haven't watched the series yet, you need to go watch all of it and come back, or this really, I cannot stress how little sense this will all make.
And it's just very good. It's a very good show. You should watch it. It's very good. That's all I can
It's
say about it.
serious. It's very much worth your time.
Hmm.
Go watch it, come back here, and then we'll regroup.
Yeah.
But for those of you who have watched it,
Just, we're gonna assume now that you've watched it. Enter at your own risk.
spoilership ahead.
Hmm.
I guess just to start things, the ball rolling, I think something that we noticed when we were watching the whole show was just how much the theme song
Well,
changed.
it's not so much that
Uh,
the theme song changes, but like
oh
the
yeah,
opening
yeah,
changes. Like depending on like when it's especially apparent in like the final season because a lot of things
mm,
happen in the final season, and the like the intro reflects those changes. Like it goes from especially like things like where is Katra, and in
mm,
season 5 especially like where are some of the other people, and all that,
yeah.
and it's very well done. Like I love how
I
some of it changes.
Yeah, I think it is interesting because most like Netflix, pretty much everything on Netflix has the option for you to skip intro, but I don't think, and I think we did do that at first until we just happened to notice, like, oh wait, no, there's been stuff going on this whole time.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we skipped a single one for season 5 because we immediately noticed that's
No,
different. So we
yeah,
had to keep
I think
watching it
for
every time to see what changes now.
because it pretty much, I think until like the last like maybe 3 episodes, it was basically like the same. It was new each
Yeah, it
time.
was new each time. Like
Uh,
it went from kind of like similar to what it always was, to then
mhm.
like after like Spinnerella gets chipped, suddenly Natasha's there on her own looking incredibly sad. And then when they save Spinnerella, they're just kissing right there on screen.
And it was like, oh my, okay,
And like
wow.
they change like when after they save Katra, and like she joins
Mm,
like the good guys, it's like she suddenly, because there's always like the clash between her and Shira, like at the opening, and then it's still there's still that clash, but then she smiles and it's like, oh, it was just a friendly spar.
yeah, it was. I think for since season one, in the opening sequence, I was always the most interested in whatever was going on with Katra,
Hmm.
because like that's pretty much who changed. I think the most.
I mean,
Uh,
I think a person who also changed a lot, and I think it was one of the first times we noticed, was
mm,
like I believe it was like in season 4, Scorpia
mm.
started to look sad in the intro.
Oh yes,
That was
that
a
was.
tiny detail. Just her facial expression went from happy to sad, and it was like, oh, my heart.
Yeah. Oh, Scorpio. I just. Okay, well, we'll get into her later,
Yeah,
but
yeah. We'll talk about Scorpia more later, but like that's
yeah.
such
So if you
a
still,
good thing there.
yeah. So if you still didn't listen to us and haven't watched the show, I will one final spoiler warning, but also when you go and watch the series, because hopefully this will encourage you to do that. Do not skip the intro. You always want to see what's going
At
on.
least, especially not
Uh,
near the end of the series, where there's just a lot to look at, lot of things to notice. Just and
exactly.
then that's a thing that's kind of throughout the whole show is there's a lot of details like body language and like where characters are, like there's a lot of use of like parallels and contrasts between like similar scenes but with like from like different perspectives and all that. That's really well done.
Yes.
But the meat, I would say, of the whole series are definitely its characters. Like, it's a very character-driven series, which I really enjoy, and there's a lot to talk about with a lot of the characters, so we should probably start talking some about some of the characters here.
Yeah. So to jump it off, we could start by talking about one of my favorite ships from the show, which is Seahawk and Mermista. And I really the one now I understand that there's only so many episodes per season, but I don't really think there was a single season that I left feeling like I got enough Seahawk. I'll be honest. Like when we meet him in season 1, and he's the best sea captain around town, and then he's very quickly not the very best sea captain in town.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Seahawk is that you know what, he has a lot of like spunk and a good sense of adventure. He also boasts a lot, and not even and the thing is, despite him being very boastful, it never comes off as malicious. He just wants to. He never like boasts in a sense that he is better than other people. He just boasts in the sense that he is, he's Seahawk, he's for adventure, and he's got to sing his shanties, and I find him a really enjoyable character. Like,
I think, yeah, and like with someone who kind of like we didn't really get to know him that well, but that this show is so character driven that he still did have an arc.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, he did.
He was at first it's like, okay, he's just kind of like this arrogant, obnoxious guy, but then it's like, no, I just really want to fit in and have friends and like feel like part of the group. And then Glimmer has to have like a talk with him, like, okay, yeah, like I kind of thought you were the worst, but like we're kind of the same.
Yeah,
so,
like I'm also constant like Glimmer's whole thing is also constantly trying to prove herself, so she kind of connects with Seahawk in that, because Seahawk's just trying to prove that that he's just a good guy, and he's good at adventuring and burning down ships, because that's a move he does, and he uses it well in season 1 when they protect the Sea Gate. Like, let's just set a ship on fire and then throw it at another ship. Perfect.
Which, it's such an intense action move that that's one thing. Like, technically, yes, this is a children's cartoon, but it's really not. It's just good. It's not. I think it's really for everybody, and not just in the way that like, there's like one joke for the adults to chuckle at kind of thing. It's like, no, this is really just everybody who watches it will take something away. Yeah,
because I think that like I've actually learned a lot from watching She-Ra. Like, genuinely, I've learned a lot about a lot of things, especially things that we'll get into later. Where I feel that I've come to more of an understanding than I had, and actually finding out that I didn't understand things very well. And I might still not understand things very well, but I understand them more now.
Well, yeah, I'll say my piece on Mermista really quick. She is definitely the coolest mermaid I've ever seen in the world. In case you weren't sure, her name is Mermista. So there's that.
Yeah, and princess of the like the ocean kingdom of Selenius.
It's never really like her parents are out of town.
I mean,
in war?
dead. Yeah.
Gone.
The thing is, like, she did like state, I believe, like roughly as soon as we meet her, that she like is now in charge of the whole kingdom, which only really happens in one way. I.e., the king is dead, long live the queen, I guess, in this case. Like, it's weird. Yeah. It's kind of weird that she is referred to as a princess when, considering that she's the only head of state, she should have been queen.
But at the same time, she has, like, what, one subject?
Yeah, because everybody just kind of flees when they realize that there are no defenses and the Sea Gate is breaking down. So everybody
So she
just
just
kind of
has
runs, and she's just there with like the one attendant.
who props to that one attendant
Yeah,
because
like
he
that's
like
a
runs
brave.
from place to place.
Yeah, like that's one hella brave person. Like that guy was hella brave. Like actually.
Um,
But the best thing, the great thing is, because then we see we see Seahawk and Marissa's like first interaction, and it's like it's very played like, oh yeah, like she's just annoyed with him and that kind of stuff. But we can also like at least it was immediately kind of clear that she didn't like super hate him because she never really banned him from her kingdom either. Like as much as she professed to
right.
like find him annoying and be like, oh, why did you bring him? That kind of stuff. Yet
Yeah.
yet she never actually bothers to banish him.
I think, yeah, that's the one thing too, because each time we meet, he'll like bring something up and she'll contradict him, like that wasn't the case here. But she lists like 3 different occasions that she spent time with him alone.
Yeah.
So like you're not that annoyed with
Yeah.
him, like. I think it's kind of funny because it's kind of like when you'll meet people and they're like, we're not dating, but it's like, no, you're like serious. Like you've been married for 30 years. I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean
And,
that's basically Seahawk and Mermista. Like, and I really love how if we skip ahead to like season 5, I really
yeah.
love how. I really love that scene when they're in like I forget what that place is called when they're infiltrating that like underground bar place.
Oh yeah.
And
To
they
try and
meet
turn people in.
yeah, yeah, and they meet all of like Seahawk's enemies, like all his rivals and stuff. And all of them are, you might notice a theme there is that all of them are people whose boats he set on fire. And when finally, they have incapacitated all of them and hidden them like under the bar. And then, Mermista looks up and she's like, oh no, did he see me? I hope he didn't see me. And Seahawk's like, what are you talking about? And she's like, well, there's this guy whose ship I set on fire. and Seahawk just make the biggest heart eyes I've seen ever. Like, he's just like, oh my god, she's my soulmate. Because
Yeah.
she's like, because she's just my god, what was it again? Yeah, she's like, I just wanted to know what it felt like. Showing that she takes like a very, very, clear interest in like Seahawk's like quote unquote hobbies, I guess.
Yeah. I think, I think it is good that like they finally had that like little moment together
Yeah.
where she was like, okay, I'm the bad guy here now too. But also, Seahawk must be like the most like charming person in the world, or I don't know, because why do people keep giving him boats to set on fire?
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, it's also like
literally.
it's also implied that all of his boats, being the dragon's daughter, whatever number he's on at this point, were apparently most of them were actually given to him by Mermista. Which is just like, it's like, honey, please, you love him a lot. You wouldn't
Yeah.
keep giving him ships otherwise.
This is like not really related, but the voice actress who plays Mermista, she's in another show, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, that I just finished watching, and
Okay.
it was kind of interesting that in like the later season, she starts dating this guy Hector, and she gets this like corporate job, so she's like working, and he comes over and he's like, so I lost my keys. I can't get in the house. And she's like, I made a spare set. And I was just thinking, oh my gosh, this is basically her Seahawk.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, it
Yeah.
is really sad that like as soon as like Seahawk and Mermista, I guess, kind of get together at that point. Then it's not long after that Mermista gets chipped.
Yeah, it's literally that evening.
Yeah, like
They just finished that conversation.
I mean, and then
And then
I mean, and it's then like it is also, Seahawk's love for Mermista that helps to break her out of it. But he does
Yeah.
that in a very Seahawk way, but just kind of annoying her. And then she is like, why are you like this? Like, even in shipped state, she's like, why are you like this and why do I love you?
I think they're just such a good couple. I think also just as far as Mermista, I liked watching her learn to be a leader because they were always kind of it wasn't so much just like season 5, well, Adora, Glimmer, everybody's out of commission, so like I guess it's me next. There was always kind of like that not ambition, but like just the desire to be as helpful as she could even from the beginning, like in the fun planning session meeting with
Yeah, when they
the
basically
night.
play Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, to plan a attack.
Yeah.
And then also the Mystery episode, like she takes charge
When
the
it's
opportunity strikes
yeah.
and when she feels like she's best suited for it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I thought that was good because like the whole time she's always like pretty cool and just generally awesome. But then like in season 5 she got to take on like an official leader role and just really shined, I think, with how like she helped Entrapta and just pretty much everybody on the team.
Yeah.
Uh
Yeah.
Quick before we move on, I just want to make a quick mention because I am multi-shipping trash. So I want to mention Bohawk. And I understand that like really Bo and Seahawk didn't interact all that much throughout the show because there was a lot going on, and like when they did, like they were friends. It wasn't like they had a falling out or anything.
I mean, they
But
they had like the one episode in season 4 where Bo is kind of like is getting kind of tired of always being like the friend who kind of keeps the friend group together, I guess, who prevents the others from like fighting. And like and Seahawk kind of takes him out on like a boys' night to like
yeah,
relax and all that, and there's a lot of like material there, I'd say,
yeah,
there's some good interactions there between the two of them.
they do get along.
I,
So
I,
well. But
I
like,
think I think when we first meet Seahawk, like Bo kind of has like I guess kind of like a crush, maybe a little bit, like
he's definitely just like, wow, you're the coolest person I've ever met in the world. I am your biggest fan.
I'm your new
Hello,
biggest fan.
I'm Bo.
Yeah.
And like when Adora and Glimmer are so annoyed by the shanty, but Bo has a violin now, and he's just getting in on it.
Yeah.
And like, okay, I ship it. You won me over. Soul.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Next up, there is the lovely couple, Natasha and Spinnerella, and I didn't know what they were at first. It was just I thought they were just like kind of a throwaway joke in the first season.
Yeah,
because
because
it was just like
the first time we meet them, it's like Bo introduces everybody who is at that point in the alliance, which is basically nobody except for Natasha and Spinnerella. And he's like, those are Spinnerella and Natasha, and I'm not really sure what they do.
and then yeah, and then then we don't really see them till like the final battle where like they do stuff and it's like, oh, okay,
Yeah, then we
cool.
see them at like the battle for Bright Moon, and we learn that Spinnerella controls wind and creates tornadoes, and that Natasha tosses nets. Get it?
Again,
Get it?
Natasha.
Natasha.
Yeah,
It's still the best name, honestly.
In case you haven't figured out yet, a lot of these names are very literal.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Pretty much all of them. I think,
largely that's a holdover from like the 80s.
yeah. But I mean, whoever made the names, I still love in the 80s
Yeah,
or whenever. I
there's
just love whoever was like, we'll just tell people what y'all are. That's it.
yeah. I like the naming scheme. Like, I can see that not everybody might really like it, and some people might be annoyed by the naming scheme. But I kind of like it. It kind of grew on me, especially when it was like all the bad guys, they live in the fright zone.
Yeah, I think
The scary
yeah,
place.
I definitely did love that in the beginning, the first or second episode, which I guess is kind of the same episode.
Yeah, because first
But
episode is 2 parts.
yeah, so when Bo is like, "You're literally from the Fright Zone."
Yeah, and it's like,
They're called the Evil
who
Horde.
calls us
What?
that?
Who called? Everybody.
Yeah.
And then but then we find out like they're a nice married couple. They're very not problematic. They're just. I think that was nice because they have like adventures in that they are like in a war and stuff, but I think lots of shows, like if they have like a lesbian married couple, there's always like, or any couple, it's like they can't be interesting unless it's like, will they?
Yeah,
Won't
unless
they?
there's
Are
like
they on the
conflict.
rock?
Yeah, unless there's like conflict in
Almost.
their relationship, and
The only fights they had were like cute when like,
yeah, married couple fights. Like,
yeah. Mostly because like Natasha's really like excitable
and competitive.
then Spinnerella's really competitive, and then Spinnerella's like, "Yes, dear, that's lovely, but like, stop."
Yeah, exactly. like the biggest like angst factor for them is when Spinnerella gets chipped. Like,
Yes.
and even then,
for-
Natasha has like all the plans because like everybody knows that Spinnerella hurt her ankle when she was a child, and her ankle is still weak. So if we attack her there, she'll be easy to take down, and then I can take the chip off, and then I'll save her, and then I'll remind her of that every time that she makes me do chores.
Which is like super cute, but then like I like that just when like things got real when she finally saved Spinnerella, because at first it was like I knew like yeah obviously she wants her wife back, but it didn't like, but I still was just kind of like in watching a show mode, like yeah we gotta save Spinnerella, she's part of the team, we gotta catch them all or whatever, but then like it gets Natasha like slowly, when they don't immediately save Spinnerella, it gets somber, and she's like, no, like, I'm sad.
Yeah.
My wife is trying to kill me.
Yeah, exactly.
And all our friends.
And
then
I really like in that also how, because one of my favorite scenes is with Natasha specifically, is when she, shows that she actually has a plan to take out every single princess of the rebellion. Because basically she pulls a Tony Stark or whoever it was, like Mr. Fantastic I think also has that, where he has a plan to take down every single one of his allies just in case. And as such, Natasha just has like plans on all the weaknesses of the princesses, like Mermista, weak to fire, Frosta, weak to fire, Perfuma, weak to fire. Also, she is so afraid of hurting people that she doesn't use her powers to their fullest potential. In Glimmer's case, a near near pathological need to prove herself. And Catra's weak to water.
which that was always cute. I love that Catra's always like, yeah, these princesses and their weaknesses, I have none.
And then spritz with a spray bottle in her face and she just panics.
But I get going back really quick when you mentioned Perfuma's weakness. I think it's interesting, like, that they sort of just put those arguments out there and they didn't really give us, like, a clear moral.
And I think,
there.
Yeah, I think that's fine because they both kind of had a point. Like, there's cases to be made for both of those things. Like, because Perfuma is like, some people might say that's a good thing, and Natasha's just like, it's not. But at the same time, when Perfuma and Adora later like fight against Scorpia, we do see that Perfuma is kind of holding Scorpia back, holding She-Ra back from fighting against against Scorpia properly. I keep saying wrong names, and get my head in the game. But like, but it's also never really played like because then there is part of Scorpia that kind of breaks through the brainwashing and all that, but it's at the same time never played like either of them are completely correct, I feel.
Yeah, I think, and I mean, that's just how life works, I think Natasha and Perfume are definitely at like kind of the extreme ends of the argument. Yeah, but I think like lots of shows like will try to have like a moral,
Like a clear moral.
Perfuma was right, Natasha was wrong. See, but it's like no, I think because we saw there were instances where Perfuma could have attacked that she didn't, that were bad, but when it came to Scorpia, she didn't, and that was good.
Right.
So just use discernment, and when you take action in your life.
Usually things are more complex than just this action is always right and this action is always wrong. Like there's usually gray areas where or gray actions more so, where it's like, okay, in this situation this action you shouldn't, but in this other situation it might be better to do this.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, and then just when, like we mentioned also in the title sequence, when Natasha saves Spinnerella finally.
Yeah.
And they're kissing and they're just like goals. That just made me feel so happy.
Yeah, same. Like that was just like, hashtag relationship goals right there. Like
it was really interesting to me because like, from the beginning of time, I'll make whatever ship in a show that I feel has context. And my roomie was like, yeah, no, like I get why, but like it's not gonna happen. Like nothing. And like but then when they actually kissed, she was like, I didn't think anyone was like actually gonna kiss in this show ever.
Yeah, like that is a thing also that this show does, is it dares to just have gay couples be gay couples. And without like without like making it, I mean, we have quite a few that are just very obvious and clear and right there, like Bo's dads. They're just there. They exist. Those are his dads. And
no one questions it. No one has. Like...
And Natasha and Spinnerella, like in, I believe it's like season 4, where there's like the Holmer mystery thing. We also get a really quick sequence where they're like interrogating Spinnerella and Natasha, and the Spinnerella and Natasha are just kind of like, we were on a date. Like, could you not have disrupted our date, please? This is date night.
They were dressed very nice.
Yeah, they're all dressed up. They were probably in a restaurant just enjoying a romantic dinner together. And that was just kind of on screen. And I also just kind of never really expected like them to kiss, really. Just keep it like implied. Yeah. But no, they just went there. They just went there and it's great.
I think, especially because, like, since, like, kids are going to be watching it, I think that's nice that it wasn't just like, hey, stop the show for a second. See these people? They gay. Take notice. It was just like, no, they're just in the show.
They're
that
here.
Just happened. And it's fine.
And one thing that Spinnerella and Natasha, that I think we should also quickly mention, is when in season 5, when Spinnerella is chipped and she and Natasha are fighting, there is this one scene that, it has a very clear subtext to it, where Spinnerella says something along the lines of, soon you'll join me under Horde Prime's light. It's a shame, however, that we can't be together.
Yeah.
Because it's like, because the kind of the surface reading of that is like there are no interpersonal relationships in like Horde Prime's hive mind thing that people get into when they're chipped. But at the same time, there's also this clear subtext of, because, and we'll talk a bit more about that later, but like Horde Prime's whole like empire is kind of played like kind of like a fundamentalist religious kind of thing, where homophobia is kind of the norm. So it's also kind of played like, we can't be together under the light of God, quote unquote, like, because God wouldn't approve.
Yeah.
So that subtext is also there, and I think that's like, you wouldn't have gotten that if like either of them was a man and it was like a straight couple, like that subtext wouldn't have existed, and I think it's very good that subtext then exists.
Yeah, I think just like a lot of the topics this show handles are just so heavy.
They really are, but they're also like presented in a way that is very digestible.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's still a show that should be watchable for children.
So it's all packaged nicely, but like an older viewer watching, it's impossible not to like at least want to like read into everything because
Yeah,
there's so
and there's a
much
lot.
thought.
There's a lot to read into, and a lot of that is more than likely completely intentional.
Yes, for
Especially knowing Noelle Stevenson, the show writer,
you
knowing
know,
a bit about her, like very obvious.
yeah. Okay, so next lady of the hour is the buff queen of my heart, Scorpia.
Oh God, I love Scorpia so much.
She's my favorite character on this show.
Probably same, maybe second. Like first place is very contentious because there's a lot of very good characters for me. But Scorpia is
Yeah.
very high up there. Like if I could meet any of the characters in like real life and like hang out with them, I would choose Scorpia.
She's okay, like from the moment we meet her, she's just like, because she could just be this like buff muscle woman that's like, I don't take any nonsense from anyone, and we do get characters like that, like Huntara for one.
Huntara, Rogelio is kind of like that.
Yeah, like just I am buff, and
That's
I'm
my
strong.
character. I'm buff and I'm strong and I don't take no shit from anybody.
But Scorpia, she's playful.
She's
smiles
friendly
all the time.
Oh, she's such a ray of sunshine.
When I first at first I was just like, Scorpia's just a character on the show, but I don't think I really noticed her at first until like I noticed she had a running joke about mentioning the Force Captain orientation.
Yeah.
Like,
That Catra never went to.
oh my gosh, I'll never know
I
what
mean,
I missed on
that's
my
the-
first day of Force
That's still like
Captain
my favorite
orientation.
meme, just also by like the fan community used a lot. Like whenever it's like something like one of my favorite versions of them was like somebody being like, hey, imagine if this is how it goes when like Catra like tells Scorpia that she and Adora are together, and it's like, hey, Adora and me are together now, and Scorpia just being like, yeah, they covered that in Force Captain orientation. Like everybody knew except you two because you're idiots. Like, like that was very good. Like I love that meme of, oh no, that was covered in Force Captain orientation.
Oh my gosh.
But
But then, oh yes.
but then she becomes so much more than that.
Yeah, I mean, before we go into like what she learns as a person,
Yeah.
can we just talk about prom?
Hell yeah, let's talk about her dress.
She was stunning. I like that, but because she was part of the, I guess, fascist regime of the Horde, she only has one nice dress. Everyone else kind of has multiple outfits. But she just has one. But honestly, if you can only have one nice dress, that's the dress to have.
Yeah.
It's backless. Her pincers are out. She just.
I love
It's-
how because of her carapace, like especially around her shoulder, like the dress is kind of ripped there, but it looks very like it looks very elegant. Like it suits her so well. Like you almost like at first I wasn't sure if it was ripped or if it was just made like that. If what they
Yeah.
tried to go for there, but then it's when you think about it for a second, it's very obvious that it just ripped because her carapace is kind of hard and sharp. But like it works. She pulls it off beautifully.
She wears
Gets a little bit of extra
well.
makeup and that's just perfect.
Oh my gosh.
Fashion
Just-
queen right there.
I love that Catra was like, oh yeah, you're a prince, I'm gonna use that to my advantage, and then Scorpia's like, okay, that's fine, but like also like, I'm a princess, I get to go to the prom, and I get to wear a nice dress,
Yeah.
I get to go with Catra to the prom.
Yeah.
That was such an intense episode. I thought, like, I think it was funny, like, at that one I was like, okay, there are so many ships, because, like, do I ship Catra and Scorpia? Yes. Do I ship Catra and Adora? Also yes. But, like, I was very conflicted, because, because of evil plans going on, Catra does have to leave to go off with Adora. But at the same time, part of me is like, you could just have spent the night with Scorpia. You could have just had a prom with her, because that dress needed a night on the town.
I mean, it gets a night on the town later, kind of. In season 5 when they infiltrate.
I think,
and then she gets to have like almost an actual date with Perfuma, which is great.
Yeah. I mean, I guess props to the fandom, because a She-Ra movie's definitely like in at least talks right now.
Oh.
Because of the demand. Yeah, like
I was not
last
aware.
I heard. I mean, who knows when it'll come out.
Yeah, I mean, who knows?
But because it was going, like, that season 5 was going to be it, but fans got together. I think last I heard they had like raised 40K, had all sorts of petitions and stuff.
Dang.
And like they went to work, and so like there's very possibly, but like I'm no news source, so don't.
I mean, keep
wrong.
don't get your hopes up too much, but maybe
there's there's potentially gonna be a movie, and I think that's cool. But the one thing I wish we could have, because, if it's a movie or if it was even another season of the show, there would still be, like, kind of high stakes involved. I think what I want is just kind of, like, either, like, a little web comic or a little web series where it's just like, hey, these characters you like? Here's, like, 3 minutes of them just, like, kind of having a nice time without the end of the world on the line.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
like I would like, and there's a lot like fan work that is like that, which I really enjoy. Where a lot, like, some of it is just, hey, what if Catra behaves a bit more like a cat and just likes to sit in a box? Just there's this empty box and she's just in there, and people squee over how cute she is. Like, particularly Bo would do that. Like that kind of stuff. And then you can also just like have Scorpia and have her like have a nice time with Perfuma and maybe learn some meditation, or maybe just be incredibly bad at meditation, but she just likes to do it because that is, spending time with Perfuma.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Oh my gosh, I just so many feelings right now.
Yeah.
Okay, but
yes,
Scorpia it's not all smiles. For
no,
Scorpia,
no, definitely.
Unfortunately.
It's not for anybody, really. Every character has a rough time at some point.
Yeah, and pretty much the main source of her feels is Catra, because from the beginning, I think, and that is something interesting, like, there really is no why to friendship in a way, that I think really is showcased well with Catra and Scorpia. Like, Scorpia and Catra are just assigned to work together, but for whatever reason, Scorpia just sees something in Catra that she's like, you don't know it yet, but you are going to be the best friend I ever had. And you're great, and we're best friends. And even though Catra really doesn't see that until it's much too late, I think it makes a lot of sense, because there are some people, it's like, I don't know why, I really want to be friends with you. Like,
exactly.
There's really no reason for it.
I mean, I think part of the reasoning kind of is that because Scorpia is a princess, she is kind of an outcast among the Horde, because the Horde, everybody in the Horde learns that propaganda machine princesses are all evil.
That's fair.
Meanwhile, Scorpia is told, like, the princesses would never accept you because you're different. Which she later learns to be incredibly false and just Horde propaganda at work. But because of that, she feels like she doesn't really fit anywhere. But here's Catra, who never really cares about any of that. In part because Catra is just too busy being angry at Adora and Shadow Weaver and the world. But she also, like, she kind of treats Scorpia, quote unquote, normally, in a way.
Yeah. I guess, yeah, no, that is true. I hadn't thought about it that way before. But yeah, no, Catra being all about the business is probably the best thing for Scorpia.
At least it's no like distrust and like sneers and whatever, because Catra has gone through all of that as well. So
Yeah.
so they also kind of relate to each other in that in that way. Catra at that point in her life is not really in a place where she can truly appreciate and accept Scorpia's friendship, and Scorpia, I guess, kind of knows this, but she holds on to this belief that if you love somebody hard enough, you can quote unquote fix their problems. If I just
Yeah.
love her hard enough, but the problem is that doesn't really work. And Scorpia
Yeah,
has to learn that, and that she has to like choose her own happiness sometimes.
and I'm, yeah. I guess one quick point before we get into her learning that lesson.
Mm-hmm.
It is, I didn't realize how much Crazy Ex-Girlfriend also makes me think of Shira, I guess.
Oh,
But one of the songs that a character Daryl sings to another character Paula is a song called "You're My Best Friend and I Know I'm Not Yours," which
whoa.
which is kind of
That
like
would
this.
fit so well for Catra and Scorpia in like for like most of seasons 1 through 4. And
Yeah,
particularly
really.
particularly season 4.
Yeah. So I guess, yeah, watch Shira, not Scorpia, the
I mean,
show.
also watch Scorpia.
That's
She's great. Look at her.
But yeah, she's part of a bigger machine. But also I guess watch Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. I don't know.
I guess.
Then, but yeah, so leading out season 4, Scorpia realizes that Catra is kind of, things are going kind of downhill right now.
Like
Catra's kind of spiraling a bit.
Catra's spiraling, and she's not being a good friend.
So when they are in the Crimson Waste, and Scorpia's like, okay, we could just like not go back, and then Catra's like, we have to.
I mean,
Like
there's
sort
a bit
of. I mean,
there's a bit more nuance there, but I guess we'll talk more about that when we actually talk about
Yeah.
Catra. Yeah.
but that's just sort of like plants the seed where Scorpia's like, okay, like, yes, she is technically the boss, but like,
I mean, at
she's
that
not
point,
lis-
actually not, because Catra was demoted right before they were sent to the Crimson Waste. Or specifically right before Catra was sent to the Crimson Waste, and Scorpio was like, I'm coming with you.
That's true. But like that's kind of been their dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, I think Scorpio's kind of realizing like, okay, like whatever the dynamic is here, I know I'm right, and Catra is not listening to her own detriment.
Yeah. Because
So
that's a large part with Catra's whole thing is she keeps doing bad things, and the person it works like out the person for who it works out the least is herself.
yeah, so then toward the end of season 4, about Scorpia finally realizes like I need to go. This isn't
Yeah,
healthy
I think that's more like
anymore.
roughly halfway, maybe like the latter half. I think is when that happens.
Yeah, because he spends like a few episodes with the princesses,
Yeah.
and helps and everything. But when she leaves, she doesn't. I don't. She didn't really have like a plan. She just knew she needed to get out.
Yeah, she knew that
Of, like-
that this relationship with Catra wasn't good for her, so she had to get away for her own safety. And she also takes Emily with her because she also cares a lot about Emily because that was Entrapta's best friend.
Yeah,
So I have to save Emily and take better care of myself. And
and I think
leave.
and I think that's something like people don't really, because when Scorpio leaves, I feel like she definitely left the window open. Like, look, if you like get your act right, like we can be friends again, but like I can't go down this road with you anymore. So
Right.
goodbye.
Yeah, because it's very clear that she still cares about Catra.
Yeah.
This is like especially apparent near the end when she, Shadow Weaver, and Glimmer infiltrate the Fright Zone, and and she tells Glimmer, please don't hurt her. In talking about Catra.
Yeah, definitely. I think it just goes to show just like how nuanced the show can be, because most times the moral is either you never give up on anybody no matter what, or you get out of there, you never look back, goodbye.
Yeah, and here it's
Which
like there's very clearly still, a an a chance for reconciliation, and we get that at like near the end of season 5. We get that. We actually and some people might have felt that that was too fast, but at the same time I feel like it is perfectly within Scorpia's character to basically forgive Catra the moment Catra tries to apologize, because
yeah.
she has constantly been looking at like all the bright sides. Like she's constantly been looking for things in Catra to like set Catra in a better light. And now that it's and then when it's actually there and she actually sees Catra trying to be a better person and trying to apologize to her, she just immediately grabs Catra in a hug and is like, "I love you, Wildcat. Like, I forgive you." And it's like,
Yeah.
that's so in character. Like that, I had no problems with that, because that's just who
Yeah.
Scorpia is.
I mean, because, and I don't think, and I think it's is something to be said. Like, there are people, you know, and I think a lot of people may consider themselves to be, but they're not really. But there are people who genuinely just don't really hold grudges. And that can often be seen as like weakness. Like, you're gonna just get burned again and again and again. But like, I don't know. I think it's kind of, I think it's better to, always be open to give someone another chance, as long as you're like Scorpia, who like knows when she wants to back out, kind of thing.
I mean,
You
it's
know,
it's a
that makes
situation
sense.
that is like a lot of things in life, is a very much a gray area, and there's no real right or wrong answer there. Like, it really just depends on who you are as a person. Like, at the same time, you don't, even if somebody is trying to be better and becoming a better person, that doesn't mean that you are obligated to forgive them either. Like, it would have been very out of character for Scorpia to do, but it wouldn't have necessarily been wrong if she had never forgiven Catra. And I'm sure that there are people on Etheria who will never forgive Catra, and that is fine. That is their prerogative. You know?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. I
like,
guess.
and there's that nuance again that I think the show does a very good job of kind of exploring.
Um. I guess one moment that we didn't really talk about, but before we move on, we should talk about when Scorpia joins the princesses,
Yes.
and that she's always, she'll
She's always been told princesses would never accept you, that kind of stuff.
like you're a princess, but like you're a scorpion princess, so like ew, pincers. And then immediately when Frosta, she's like, "That's cool, ice pincers," and then Scorpion's like, actually crying.
Yeah, she gets really
because
emotional because she's like, and I like that Frost is immediately like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Is that insensitive? Like, should I not do that? I'm sorry." And it's like, and she's like, "No, I'm just so happy."
And like, Scorpia, like, if she was ever a real person, I don't think she could get anything done, because the world would just need to give her all the hugs all the time. She is just so amazing. She's not going to get any grocery shopping done.
Yeah,
Really, anything.
I
She's
mean
just going to
that's
be hugging billions of people a day.
yeah, that's the thing. Like I said earlier, like if I could meet any of the characters like in real life and they were a real person, they existed, the person I would want to meet and hang out with is Scorpia, because she's just
Yeah.
so pleasant and amazing.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
I could definitely do with some of that in my life. Just have a person like that would be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, not even
So-
romantically, like just such a good friend.
Yeah, I just need Scorpio vibes. They should try to figure out a way to put it in a candle.
Just light up that candle and just enjoy the vibes.
That only a Scorpio can bring.
Mm-hmm.
So next
Moving
character.
from one princess to another,
Yes.
which most of them are princesses, but another
Sure, princesses
let's say it like this:
power.
another Horde affiliated princess.
Yes, from the wrong side of town.
I mean, not initially. We're talking Entrapta.
Yeah, so Entrapta, when we meet her, she's all about the data, and her hair moves for her
Yeah,
in
like she
some
has like
way.
yeah, she has like what's the word? Prehensile hair.
Yeah, and she likes to drink little
Yeah,
snacks,
she
little
loves
tiny
tiny food.
treats.
Tiny food because that tastes better. Apparently,
Uh,
she has data. Don't worry about it. She can prove it with graphs and tables and just with data.
Yeah, I think she said like in the first season it was like, well, she's like a fun, zany person. Uh, you're with the group now.
Yeah.
Um, but this is something with pretty much everyone we've watched the show with agrees that they did her dirty in season one,
Yeah,
right?
the rebellion did
Yeah,
her dirty
the
basically.
because when they didn't, they left without her. And granted,
Yeah,
they were like, she's
to give a bit more context, that's when they
yeah,
try to rescue Glimmer after Glimmer and Bo were abducted by Catra and Scorpia during the Princess Prom.
yes. And so they left Entrapta there. And like, I get it that for whatever reason you guys thought she was dead, but like, I don't know. I feel like they could have at least done one more loop around.
Yeah, probably. At the same time, they
Um,
probably wouldn't have seen her with that because she was like hiding in the ventilation shafts and all that.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
true,
I
but
do feel like they could have at least tried to kind of go back. Like,
yeah, I guess the one thing though is that like and this kind of goes into Entrapta's redemption arc. When Bo like finally like gets through to her, is like, we're never letting you go again kind of
right,
thing.
that's on the Beast Island, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
Beast Island. And she was
when she's
like,
like when she's kind of despairing because she doesn't like she knows a lot of things, like she's been researching a lot of things, but she doesn't know how to be a friend because people are confusing and not consistent, which very true.
yeah. And the fact that it was Bo saying that is a lot more powerful because, after, in season two, after they, left her there, or maybe it could have been season one still.
I mean, in
Not really
season
sure.
one is when she gets left behind and
Yeah.
kind of
Okay,
joins
season.
Catra
Oh,
and
yeah.
Scorpio, Super
Super
Pal
Pal
trio.
Trio. Yes. So, when Glimmer and Bo are trying to save Entrapta's like, actually, like, there's a lot of data here, so I think I'm just actually gonna
I
stay.
mean, it's
Goodbye.
Adora and Bo who.
It's Adora. No, it's Glimmer and Bo.
I mean, you mean from Beast Island? Because Glimmer never goes to Beast
Mm,
Island.
no, no, I'm talking about the first time that they went to save her
When they right
when they had
when
Catra.
they take Catra prisoner, right? Yeah,
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 yeah.
you're
So they
right.
take
That's start of season 2. You're right. Sorry.
yeah.
Continue.
So the first time they gosh, Catra was being such a butthead,
I
but
mean, Glimmer got her back with
yeah,
her very like that's a thing. Like, I mean, we'll talk a bit more about that later, but I do really quickly want to say Glimmer and Catra are both incredibly savage. Like
yeah,
they will punch their opponent in the emotional jugular. Just go
they
for the
are.
words that hurt.
Yeah, they really do. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, we will get into that later. But back to this. So
Yeah.
then Bo is like, come on, Entrapta, like, we're trying to save you here. She's like, actually, like, there's data. So, like, I think I'm just going to stay. And Bo, he left really broken up about it because, he does have kind of a tendency to hero worship people he looks up to a bit. Like, we saw that with
Yeah.
Seahawk when he first meets Entrapta. He's really invested in, like, just how brilliant she is. And he's like, man, I'm never going to be.
Yeah, she's like the best scientist in the in Etheria's Makers Guild, of which he is also a part, and he
Yeah.
just kind of idolizes her.
So he definitely takes that as kind of like, he takes that really
Person,
personally.
yeah,
So the fact that in season 4, when they go to Beast Island and get her back, that he's like, "We're never letting you go again. We didn't give up on you. Come with us." And she thought at this point that she was like, "I'm gonna just live on Beast Island forever because I did bad things and that's why I'm here."
Yeah, I deserve to be here, and people shouldn't care about me.
Lots of redemption goes on in this series.
Yeah.
Some greater than others.
Mm-hmm.
Talking to you, Shadow.
We'll get into that.
But, just as far as the first full redemption arc that we sort of see come full circle, I think Entrapta was good. Because, I think if you're watching the show, you kind of can either forgive her or not. Because it's like, she's unethical. She just likes science.
Yeah,
she doesn't really care about
what she really
the
needs.
war.
Yeah, what she really needs is just an ethics board. She needs an ethics board to kind of keep her in check. And she she does kind of become her own ethics board when in season 5, because despite the fact that that they get her back from Beast Island, and Bo tells her that we're never gonna let you go again, that kind of stuff. She still she clearly still feels guilty about how her bots have hurt her friends.
Yeah.
Despite how much data she might have gotten out of it, she still feels regret. That's why she kind of puts herself in danger when she tries to figure out where Glimmer is, because they lose Glimmer at the end of season 4, because she gets beamed up by Horde Prime's ship together with Hordak and Catra, and it's like, she's still very clear, because but because she is bad at communicating with people, because she doesn't know how to people, she doesn't say any of this until Mermista kind of grabs her by the shoulders and is like, "What's your problem? Why are you doing this? You're putting yourself and us in danger by going over there where all the bots are that can see you with their camera eyes." And she's like, she explains that she does that because she has to find Glimmer, because that's the only way I can make this right. It's the one thing I can do to help my friends after I've hurt them. And that's kind of where her redemption is happening, where she's atoning for the things she did wrong. And that later on also gives her a very nice connection point with Catra, mm-hmm. where it doesn't really happen in the show, but where it's because there's a lot of characters who do things wrong, and two of them are Catra and Entrapta, but mm-hmm. both of them try to make it right.
Right.
And I feel like because of that, despite the fact that Entrapta being one of the people that that Catra wronged, and we see this when Entrapta forgives Catra, because Entrapta's really good at just not taking things personally.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it wasn't even personally, actually. That when Catra sends Entrapta to Beast Island, it's not because she hates Entrapta. It's because she feels threatened by Entrapta stopping the portal from opening and all that. But and I do feel like that is a very good connection point where Entrapta and Catra could then in the future kind of reconcile and build a relationship upon kind of their shared we've hurt people and now we got to make it right kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I like that. I like that there's kind of a parallel there. Of course, one case is more extreme than the other, but still, it's there. Because Entrapta had to have known at some point that these robots she was making were being used by Catra and the Horde, to hurt the rebellion. Because there's a war going on. That's what happens in a war.
Yes.
Yeah. I just said a lot of words just now.
Yeah, I mean, I think you covered it all beautifully.
Well, thank you.
Last point that I want to talk about with Entrapta, just Ron Hordak. The fact that she adopted this sweet little hive mind boy.
This this clone of Horde Prime who's very very zany character.
I just love that because, like,
We broke
when
him. We gotta take responsibility, Bo.
we're not keeping him. Come on.
But what if we are? What if we do keep him?
And
He
no
could be
one's
helpful.
really- no one is on board with Wrong Hordak at first, but Entrapta is just like, yeah, no, like she helps him through his existential crisis.
Yeah, when they're on Critus. Yeah.
And she helps him. No, I don't think that was her actually. Who told him that he could wink? Was it Entrapta?
That was also Entrapta.
Okay, it was Entrapta.
I think
yeah,
that was
like,
Entrapta.
Because at first, he's like, oh, well, like, hive mind people, we're not allowed to, like, express, like, emotion, only Horde Prime is. And she's like, isn't that, like, the best sort of disobedience?
No, like rebellion, like just wink,
yeah.
just smile, and he does.
And he does not stop emoting pretty much the rest of the show.
Yeah.
I love that, like, but I guess it's good because the other hive mind people, like, just aren't really aware of emoting because he's literally like, yeah, brother.
He is incredibly suspicious and nobody cares.
Because I mean,
why would they be suspicious? He's another clone.
Yeah.
He's just another one of us.
I just want to know if, like, at some point does Wrong Hordak get a new name? Or
I don't think so.
Is he going to die Wrong Hordak?
I mean, maybe like in like a post, like in a post world prologue, or sorry, not prologue, epilogue kind of deal. He would maybe ? We don't know. As far as we know, he's just Wrong Hordak, and you know what? That's fine.
Yeah.
And I just what I really like about Wrong Hordak also is just, at first I wasn't really sure about Wrong Hordak. Like when he first gets introduced, like it just feels you're kind of worried. Oh, it's a setup. Like he's gonna betray them or something. Like kind of like link back up to the hive mind or whatever. And then and he's gonna betray them, and it's gonna be like, oh, that everybody could have seen that coming. But no, he learns that Horde Prime actually not a good guy, and actually not perfect, and actually not worthy of your respect.
Yeah.
And that's great.
Jumping off from Wrong Hordak, let's talk about Right Hordak.
Let's talk about actual Hordak.
I think he is the initial villain that we get. And at first, he was kind
of a background, and the more immediate villain at that point is Shadow Weaver.
Yeah, he's more, because, I was going to say, like, the beginning, he's kind of dull. It's like, he wants to do evil things to some end, I guess. But, like, he's mostly just, like, in his lab all the time.
Yeah.
And, like,
I mean, when we first see him, we don't even see him in his lab. He's just kind of in his, sitting on his throne, in his throne room, in the shadows, being mysterious and evil. And it's not until a bit later that we learn that actually he's a giant nerd who doesn't really know how to military. But he's just there. He becomes more tangible, I'd say, as time goes on.
Because of Entrapta, I think.
A lot of his...
I really... Until Entrapta and him started interacting, I definitely just nothinged him. Like, he's got a cool voice, and, like, he's around.
His voice acting, by the way, when it comes to that, Hordak and Wrong Hordak and Horde Prime, like, that's some of my favorite voice work.
Yeah.
In the series.
It's really good. But, like, when, he's working on his, like, thing to, like, keep himself alive, and it's not working out, and then Entrapta's just like, beep, boop, pop, there you go. You can breathe easily.
Yeah.
And he's like, don't touch me. Wait, you fixed me. I'm not broken anymore. And then she's like, our imperfections are what make us beautiful. And he just, like, kind of gets, like, a little, like, blush, as much as he can blush.
Yeah, as much as he can, yeah.
But I was just like, okay, I'm not, like, maybe you're not evil. Maybe it's just kind of the same deal where you're just doing some really unethical things.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Hordak is, and Hordak's a bit of a rough case, because we we never really get like an actual like redemption for him. I don't think like nothing super
No.
tangible. He just kind of becomes another victim near the end that needs to kind of be reintegrated into society.
Yeah, like he's
But like but he had it should also still be remembered that he has conquered worlds in Horde Prime's name. Like he has, or at the very least attempted it. So he's also not like a paragon of virtue or anything. Like
Yeah,
he has
no.
done very horrific things.
Yeah, he's got some things to work on for sure.
He's got things to work on, and at the same time, he is, to an extent, there is something there that you can relate to and relate with. Like,
Yeah.
especially
'Cause,
when it comes to his relationship with Horde Prime.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, on the face of it, it's kind of like, getting out of your father's shadow. Because he's trying to, do things outside of the hive mind that he was cast out of.
Yeah, he
Sort
was
of.
kind of cast out of and somehow made his way into Despondos. It's never really explained how that exactly
What?
happens.
Yeah.
Just that there is like he was already kind of defective and had a health issue. And because of that, he
Yeah.
was kind of cast out, and from there, he somehow made his way into Despondos and onto Etheria.
And survived on his own. But when, in the end of season 4, we meet Horde Prime, that we didn't even know was a thing.
I mean, we kind of learned during season 4 that Horde Prime
Yeah.
exists because Hordak kind of opens up to Catra in a weird way where they both have a person that they try to prove themselves to. Like Hordak tries to prove himself to Horde Prime, Catra tries to prove herself to Shadow Weaver.
Yeah, that is
They both kind of have an abusive parent that they're trying to prove themselves to and show that they are worthy of love and respect.
right. But when we do meet Horde Prime, his first, I wasn't really sure. I didn't know what my expectations were, but I did not think it was going to go down the way it goes down. Because he'd been building these portals. He wanted to show, all his work, get it put on the fridge. And instead, he's like, Horde Prime is like, you're an abomination.
Yeah, you
need
have
to
given
be
yourself a name. How dare you?
Yeah. So you're an abomination for becoming your own person.
Yeah.
So that's
Further
a
kind
whole-
of like, because Horde Prime's space empire is very cult-like and stuff like that. And so it very clearly shows that with how dare you become a person. We don't appreciate people being themselves, being their own person. Because you should all be like me, because I am perfect and worship and obey me.
And and we don't really get like a whole lot. We sort of see throughout season 5, like, there are chinks in the armor. Hordak is like, he remembers he doesn't want to anymore. He's trying to be good, quote unquote, but like he now, he has had a taste of freedom and he doesn't want to give that up.
Yeah, he wants that back. Like when he remembers that he could be free of Horde Prime, he wants that again, and he does. I guess he kind of tries to atone because, in part he is responsible for a lot of what Adora went through. Because when Adora first comes into Etheria is when he finds her and kind of takes her back with him, because hey, another child soldier, there we go. But at the end of season 5, he does confront Horde Prime and tries to stop him. Of course, the big problem with that plan is that Hordak is technically still in the hive mind and therefore can be a host for Prime's spirit.
Yeah.
And that whole thing goes down, and the whole casting out thing.
But when he eventually finds his way back to Entrapta, I remember being like, oh my gosh. Like, I shipped it, of course. But like, no,
'Cause you
this is
do.
now this is one of my favorite ships. I didn't realize that. I was like, the whole time, like when when she finds him on Hordak, it's because she's looking for him. You know, she gives him the thing, and he's like, I remember your face, but I shouldn't. Ugh. But then at the end, like, they get together. Well, they hug. They're like, I don't know what their status is, but like,
I mean, lab partners at the very least. Like, I would imagine, like, in a future scenario, like in an epilogue kind of like scenario that we don't. There's not really an epilogue, which I'm okay with. I would have liked one, but I'm okay with that. I have made peace with that. But like, I feel like probably as part of like the reintegration of him into Etheria, I would imagine that he would be tasked to kind of work together with Entrapta to kind of like maybe rebuild the Fright Zone into like an actual habitable kingdom of some kind or something like that. Like, I feel like he would be put to work to kind of, you know, atone for what he did in trying to conquer the planet for a couple decennia, and then like and have that be together with Entrapta, like helping her, and, you know, that kind of stuff. Like, that's what I kind of where I imagine that whole thing would go.
Yeah.
Like,
definitely.
as far as my feelings towards Entrapta is, I'm fairly neutral on that one. Like, I like Entrapta a lot, but I'm fairly neutral on that one. I like Hordak, but not super much, you know, if that makes sense. Like, I'm more neutral towards that. Like, I'm not against it, but if it hadn't happened, I wouldn't have been super sad about it either. Is all I can really say on that. Yeah. So we've been talking for a while now. We'll talk some more, but that will be in another video, in part 2, when we get to more of the meat. We'll get to the best friend squad, for example. We haven't really talked about all of them yet. We haven't talked about Catra yet. We haven't talked about Shadow Weaver yet. Those will all be for the next video, so look forward to that.
Yes, and remember to comment, like, and subscribe, because we all need friends. Bye.